Hello and welcome to Heart for Home. My name is Deanna. Today I am very excited to be sharing with you my series titled Dedicated. In this series, I will be exploring one question. What does it look like to be dedicated to becoming the women God created us to be so we can live out His purpose in our lives? This is a question that I've been asking for many years. I remember since my early 20s when I really committed to my faith and I really committed to spiritual growth. I've been wondering about this. And I decided to start this series because I have learned things along the way and have gained insights that I want to share with others in hopes that if this is a journey that you are on yourself or that you're interested in, that will be able to help you along your path. So some of the topics that I'll be covering in this series are things such as being fearfully and wonderfully made, what does that mean, and knowing our value and worth as children of God, renewing our minds with God's truth, building a strong foundation of character, living lives guided by faith and courage, and living purposeful lives that are marked by peace and gratitude. And in each part of the series, I'm going to dig deeper into each of those topics. And, this is, like I said, this is a journey that I'm on still, and I don't have all the answers, but I believe that we don't have to have all the answers in order to be able to help each other. If these are topics that you're interested in, I invite you to join me. I will be here weekly, and today we will be talking about what does it mean to be dedicated. What does it mean to be dedicated? Well, I looked up the official meaning of the word, and to be dedicated means to be fully committed to a particular course of thought or action, devoted. Or it's also put as believing that something is very important and giving a lot of time and energy to it. So that's the official meaning of the word dedicated, but I also want to share with you an example from my own life just to give us, a real life illustration. My husband and I got a new job, but it required us to relocate to a completely different province. Where we were staying, we had 2 weeks there before we had to leave, and our lease ended, so we had to make sure we had another place to stay. And this job ended up being in a small town, and other people were also hired for this project. And so you have a bunch of people coming to this small town, and we're all looking for a place to stay. And the people that I was supposed to meet up with to show me the places and things like that, when it came to the day of, they did not show up at all. So we made arrangements and everything, but the day of, nobody showed up. And online, everybody's desperately looking for a place, and it's just options are very limited. So I decided that I needed a different plan. So I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to do the old school way. I'm going to go and just talk to people directly. So I decided to drive around the small town. And if I saw like an apartment complex or signs that people are renting, things that maybe are not online, I would just go knock on doors and just ask people, hey, do you know if they're renting here? Do you have the manager's contact information? So I did that. And I did that for a couple of days. And unfortunately, didn't really get great results. And, sometimes people, you have a stranger coming, knocking at your door, and it's like, who are you? And what do you want? And I don't want it, so it was it was a bit challenging, but my mind was set, we needed a place to stay. We had 2 weeks to get it. And, this was really important. On the last day, like on the third day or something, I was just like, I have no idea what to do. I had no plan. I remember saying, God, I have no plan, and I'm just going to be driving around. I have no idea what to do anymore. So I went out with, I think, a little bit of hope. And what happened was I saw one townhouse kind of complex just caught my eye. And so it was really nice. So I'm like, okay, sure. Why not give it a shot? And believe it or not, the lady who opened the door actually ended up being very sweet, very receiving, very kind. And she ended up being a Christian as well. And I told her my situation. And she was like, oh, yes, you know what? Yes, I do know the manager for this building, but my mom is actually a realtor. She's one of the realtors in this small town, and she knows other realtors. And I'm going to give her your contact information, and you guys can talk. Maybe she can connect you with somebody or help you find something. Her mom got me in contact with a guy who had a place to rent, a little house. His renters had to cut the lease short. So he needed someone to take over their lease. And so here I am, and I'm ready to take over the lease. He's not the type of person to put anything online. He goes solely by word of mouth, and because this lady recommended me to him, he was willing to meet up with me, and eventually we got the place. And because of that connection with him, I am sitting here right now, in this house making this series. I remember when I told my friends about this whole situation, the first thing that they said to me was, "Wow, that was dedication. You're dedicated." And I didn't even think about it like that. It's not something that I just thought, okay, I need to get a place. Sometimes we do things and we don't even realize that we are dedicated. We are being committed to something. And my question for you is, what are you dedicated to in your life? Or what are do you have examples in your life of times that you may have been dedicated, but maybe you never thought about it that way? And something that I learned from this experience that I had is that when we are dedicated, God helps us. When we dedicate to good things, God helps us. And I believe that on this journey that we're in of, exploring this question of, what does it look like to be dedicated to becoming the women God created us to be, and to be able to live out His purpose in our lives, God will bless that journey. God will help us in that journey because we're dedicating ourselves to something that is good, something that is beautiful. And I encourage you that to take that step and to take it in faith, knowing that God is going to meet you there, And I took that step many years ago, and I have been taking those steps, and I'm still taking those steps. And it's amazing to me to see how God meets us when we take the first step, And so anyways, when we are dedicated to good things, God is there to help us. And I hope that as you dedicate to the good things that are in your heart, the things that you want, that not only you be dedicated to them, but that you open your heart to receiving whatever it is that God wants to give you. And I believe that God wants to share our lives with so many beautiful things, but we also have to open our hearts to receive them. That is the nature of God. God's nature is to give, and He desires us, His creation, to receive from Him. And as we receive from Him and as our lives are filled, then we also reflect Him in that we give to others from our fullness, and we also give and in hopes to be able to bless others as well. So anyways, I hope throughout the series to be able to plant seeds, beautiful seeds in the soil of your heart that God will water and that will blossom into something very beautiful. Thank you for joining me today, and I will see you next week in part 2.